और वो सब टारगेट जो 100+ स्पीड पर डिक्टेट किए जा सकते हैं या 80+ स्पीड पर डिक्टेट किए जा सकते हैं। आपका वेलकम है 3P प्रोग्राम के यूट्यूब चैनल में। होप यू विल बी रेडी विद योर पेंसिल एंड नोटबुक। स्टार्टेड। Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I rise to support the demands for grants of the Ministry of Defence. Sir, the armed forces of India deserve the gratitude of the whole nation for carrying out a magnificent job ever since independence. The primary responsibility of the armed forces is to keep the borders of the country inviolate. Apart from this, the armed forces have been employed in numerous other tasks, such as in the aid of civil power, going to the rescue of neighboring countries, anti-terrorism, and helping civilian population in fighting natural calamity. All these multifarious duties have been carried out by the three services with extreme courage, devotion to duty, and self-sacrifice. The Indian Army in particular have proved themselves second to none time and time again. The operation carried out in Maldives a couple of years back showed planning and execution of the highest order. In fact, it was reminiscent of the much published and highly prized action undertaken by Israeli armed forces. In the recent operations of the IPKF in Sri Lanka, the officers and Jawans not only showed exemplary bravery and courage but tackled a difficult situation in a most tactful manner. It will not be out of place to mention that the tendency to use the armed forces too frequently in aid of civil power should be strictly checked. At present, our armed forces are totally political, but too much involvement in anti-terrorism activities and in the aid of civil power will tend to politize the army, and its main task of defending the integrity of the country will suffer adversely. I am sure the Prime Minister and the Defence Minister will agree that the task of maintaining law and order should be carried out either by the local police or by the paramilitary forces. The army should only be called out as a last resort, and that too, as far as possible, only for carrying out flag marches as a show of strength to restore confidence and morale of the civilian population. As a rule, the army should never get entangled in street fighting against our own citizens, as has happened in the past sometimes. Sir, the scenario of power balance in the world is undergoing a rapid transformation. With the reduction of armaments both in the Western and Eastern blocs, the arms race between the superpowers appears to have come to an end. The major military pacts like the NATO and the Warsaw have been rendered redundant. There is no gain saying the fact that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the founder of non-alignment movement and that India's policy of non-alignment stands fully vindicated. However, new alignments are bound to take place. The multinational giants manufacturing armaments will create lobbies and use pressures to find new markets for their lethal merchandise. India will have to remain doubly alert to ensure that the power balance in Southeast Asia does not shift to our detriment. In this context, our planners will have to take a hard look at our nuclear policy, although India is committed to the principles of Panchsheel and our peace loving intentions are well known. Still, we must have adequate deterrent to safeguard peace in Southeast Asia. It is now almost confirmed that Pakistan has developed a nuclear capability, although they still lack a delivery system. But this is a matter of grave concern. In these circumstances, I am of the considered opinion that we should go in for a nuclear option. India is now a mature democracy, and our leaders should be able to convince the world opinion that the position of a nuclear deterrent by India will be the surest way of ensuring lasting peace in this region. I will now take a few other points. The first one is about the situation in Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. Successive governments have been trying to tackle this situation, but I am sorry to say, with a little success. The crux of the problem lies in the training camps for these terrorists established in Pakistan. Unless we can dismantle those training camps, this problem will remain. I have some experience in the army and in the intelligence services in the army, and I think the old adage that attack is the best means of defense still holds good. I would say the best way for India to stop Pakistan from training these terrorists and sending them into India is to start training Afghans, Pukhtuns, and Mujahideen of Karachi and infiltrate them there so that Pakistan realizes what it is to create trouble in another country. I would like to say a few words about allocations of funds. R&D is the most important activity as far as armed forces are concerned. And I think it is imperative for us to indigenize the production of heavy armaments, combat aircraft and fighting ships for our Navy. We have been hearing for the main battle tanks and the light combat aircraft for the last 15 years. My next point is that the percentage of defense expenditure as compared to the total expenditure has been steadily going down since 2007, while that of Pakistan has been steadily going up, and the size and armaments of Pakistan Army, Navy and Air Force have almost doubled in the last 2 or 3 years. I agree that our financial position, as has been brought out by the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister, is not very happy. But can we afford to be lax in the allotment of the security of our country when our neighbors China and Pakistan are building up very rapidly? I would request the Defense Minister, the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister to pay particular attention to this and to see that our army and its two sister services, the Navy and the Air Force, are not run down under any circumstances and are given proper allocation of funds. ये कंटेंट 396 से बोला गया है, 1000 वर्डों के साथ में बोला गया है और इसकी जो स्पीड है आपकी 110 प्लस स्पीड है इसकी। फ्लक्चुएशन 115 तक का गया है और नेक्स्ट कंटेंट कंटिन्यू करेंगे, 100 की स्पीड के टारगेट को लेके चलेंगे। रेडी? ये कंटेंट आपके सुप्रीम कोर्ट के लिए भी हेल्पफुल रहेगा अगर 100 का टारगेट ले रहे हो, 110 का टारगेट ले रहे हो, क्योंकि जनरल कंटेंट इसमें बोला जा रहा है, इसलिए आपको मैं ये बातें बोल रहा हूं। रेडी? स्टार्ट इट। Mr. Deputy Chairman, I thank you for the courtesy. Our country is today confronted with so many catastrophes, difficulties, problems, and so many subject matters which we have discussed here and which we will be discussing later on. In short, our country has been facing so many problems and so many circumstances today. Thanks are due to the President for his historic and illuminating address. He has thrown light all round on all the aspects of things which took place the year before and which are existing before us today and which we will have to face hereafter. The President's address has received a historic reception not only in this house but it has received a splendid reception outside also. There is no doubt that things which have been discussed in the historic address of the President are worth taking into very serious consideration, and after passing the motion of thanks, we will go out to act upon that. It cannot be denied that our country, in spite of our limited resources and so many situations which have been created since ages past, has progressed by leaps and bounds in various aspects and various spheres of life. There is no doubt about it that the President has kindly thrown the correct light over the development of the country in the various spheres. It is more than correct, and today it stands for us as a guiding and illuminating feature for our future improvement and future development. In view of the present developments, who can deny that our country, with its limited resources and with all the other limitations, has shown to the world that whatever it may be, we poor Indians have got the capacity, have got the courage, and have got the patience to develop our country. In a way, we are passing through various difficulties and various limitations. In spite of that, our capacity and our courage has not been daunted. We have not been discouraged. We are going to on with speed on the road of progress, on the road of development. The President has rightly pointed out the advance made in the field of agriculture, in the field of industry and various other fields, and those things have been enumerated with facts and figures. The data has been given, and now those things are before us and before the world to be seen and to be examined. But that is not enough. I would say that our country has suffered so much for centuries past in the various fields of development and various spheres of life such as education, health, industry, agriculture, social and political aspects, and so many other things. Of course, that requires greater attention, greater energy and greater effort to develop and develop to that extent till we have at least made up those deficiencies from which we have been suffering for ages past. I expected in the President's address at least one thing: the future development of the country, the future progress of the country cannot be in a greater and greater degree than what we have already achieved unless we have one thing, and that thing is our national and emotional integration. Without such integration, we cannot do anything, let me say, with regard to what was just being referred to by my various friends in the form of various vociferous tendencies and incidents in Assam and in other places. It is all due to lack of national integration, that much of national integration has not been developed as yet amongst us, that short of national and emotional integration which will strengthen our hands, strengthen our spirit, strengthen our soul, strengthen our national stand, so that we may correct ourselves if such circumstances befall. The fault lies with us, also the fault lies with our government, the fault lies with our organization, that we did not consider it so important. This question of national integration was not considered so serious as it deserved. I still say that all our efforts will become fruitless unless there is national integration. It will be bankruptcy of administration if we do not pay greater heed and attention to the immediate development of national integration in the country. The country is being integrated in all spheres, in all aspects of life, except this one thing which has got its root where our social and political life has got its root. That root is not being seriously taken into consideration, and that short of national integration is not being developed. It was developed some time back in the time of Bapuji, in the time of Mahatma Gandhi, that national integration was started. Later on, it was disintegrated. We were expected to look after that. We were expected to carry on that development which was started during the time of Bapuji. You should put down all sorts of anti-national activities. You should put down all sorts of falciparous tendencies and communal background in responsible places. You are to look after the lives of the people of this country. Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, I crave the indulgence of the House and also your indulgence for stating certain obvious facts which are very well known but which we are often apt to forget. Sir, the Indian railway system, as the Honorable House knows, is the biggest in the whole of Asia, and it is the fourth biggest in the world. It is also the biggest nationalized undertaking, and nowhere is such a big experiment made and such a large area covered. Sir, when we deal with the budget proposals, we have to bear in mind this far-reaching character and the historic role that the railway system is playing in this vast country. This budget, as presented to us, has to be viewed and considered from this larger angle. Though the budget has taken the usual form of an annual ritual, and though it indicates and projects a set pattern, it marks the culmination and the ending of a period of achievement and the budding and flowering of another period of achievement. Sir, we are in a better position today than before to assess and evaluate the result, and we can very well draw up a balance sheet of successes and failures, of achievements and setbacks if there are any, so that we may be able to draw up a plan of further development. ये 1050 प्लस वर्ड है, 1050 प्लस वर्ड है और ये 225 और 226 नंबर से बोला गया है। 100 स्पीड है इसकी। अब आप लिखेंगे 80 को टारगेट करते हुए नेक्स्ट डिक्टेशन स्टार्टेड। I wish to suggest very seriously that if protection is to be given to any industry, particularly for the first time, the period of protection should be at least 2 years in the first instance, if not 3 years. My reasons for this suggestion are, in the first place, that when protection is given to any industry, it is on the basis of the recommendation of the Tariff Commission. Now, for instance, protection is given to an industry from 1st January 2005 for 1 year for the first time. The industry itself will not be able to know its real position and it will not be able to feel its way. It must be in a position to feel its way. The object of giving protection is to enable the industry concerned to plan for its future production, to find out the possibilities of marketing its product and also to build itself up to meet the domestic demand as it grows. Unless the industry concerned is able to stimulate the domestic demand, in which case it will have to step up its production, it will not be able to establish itself. So, from this point of view, the industry ought to be given sufficient time to stabilize itself. From another point of view, if the protection given to an industry is to be continued or to be discontinued, the Tariff Commission will have to sit again and report on the real position of the industry concerned and will have to start its inquiry within a period of, say, 6 months after the protection was first given. That seems to me rather very curious, because the industry itself will not be able to know exactly what its position in regard to protection is. I illustrate my point with regard to one of the industries which are listed in this note. Take for instance the titanium dioxide industry. This industry started production in the year 2001. It is a new industry and it consumes the essential raw materials available in the country, but it was not able to make much progress from 2001 to 2003. It was because it was not able to make any headway. The Tariff Commission recommended protection to it from the end of 2003 or the beginning of 2004 after making due inquiry. Now the industry is given protection only for 1 year, that is to the end of this year. The Tariff Commission has got to make an inquiry once again. The industry does not know exactly what its real position in the country is. That is a very peculiar kind of industry. It has got to face competition from huge producers in the world market. It is in a position to establish itself if given sufficient protection and opportunity. If the industry does not know exactly what its future is going to be, it cannot make any plans either in regard to production or marketing or in regard to the possibilities of stimulating the demand for the product. So I suggest that when protection is given to any industry for the first time, it must be at least for a period of 3 years, so that it may know exactly whether it can stimulate demand and whether it can produce sufficient quantity to meet the local demand. Otherwise, the industry will not be able to establish itself. Sir, there is another point of view also. It is seen from the note supplied to us that in the case of several industries, protection has been given altogether for a period of say 4 or 5 or 6 years, not at one stretch but in installments. The effect of giving protection to an industry in installments, say for a year, is not the same as the cumulative effect of protection given to an industry for a continuous period of 3 years. If it is given for say 3 years at a stretch, it will be able to make its program for the future regarding production, etc. So I seriously suggest that, though as a matter of fact in the case of several industries protection has been given for a long period in installments, the protection ought to be given in the first instance at least for a period of 3 years. Otherwise, as in the case of this titanium dioxide industry, it will not be able, I am sure, to meet competition from outside, and it will not be able to stand on its own feet if it is given protection only for 1 year. So I suggest very seriously that protection given to any industry ought to be in the first instance at least for a period of 3 years. Coming to this note circulated, I find that in the case of the calcium chloride industry, it is proposed to continue the protection of this industry as suggested by the Tariff Commission. 840 वर्ड है, मे बी कम आएंगे जैसे मुझे लग रहा है. और 88 केसी का सोर्स है, 88 नंबर है। 80 की स्पीड को टारगेट करके बोला गया है। आप लिखेंगे अगर आपने अच्छा लिखा है, फुल स्टॉप वगैरह गैप दिया गया है। थैंक यू।